Alright, against the odds time, we are bad Gideon fogging in modern. Oh, this should be interesting. And this hand is okay. Alright, double ghost quarter. A little bit better. Now that we know we're up against Ron. Oh man, another dictate we can't cast. Well, Hallowed Fountain go. Still not feeling good about this. Oh no. Well, they're gonna have Tron. Let's ghost quarter, pass the turn. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's an Endbringer. Okay. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. Hallowed Fountain untapped. Pass the turn. Oh, yep. Alright. Well, our opponent had Natural Tron and Expedition map. Opponent gets in with Endbringer. And we're going to start drawing our opponent more cards. Well, let's dictate of Crewfix. Draw an extra card. Play Ghost Quarter. And I guess we just got to pass the turn? Yeah, pass the turn. Stop on our opponent's draw step. See if they crack their map. Alright, they ping us for one. We'll destroy the tower. Opponent gets a waste. So this is definitely Eldrazi Tron. Did not... Oh, they just have another tower in hand. Oh, God. That's another Endbringer. Opponent gets in. 4-5. Down to 7. Well, let's dictate. Draw some extra cards. Yeah, I think we're kind of locked here. Play the planes, pass the turn. Because they can just ping us to death with the Endbringers, and we're not going to find a window to get down this ley line. Especially since we got to keep Ghost Quartering. We will discard Howling Mine. Ghost Quarter the tower. Gets another waste. No! Oh my goodness. Oh, we're cursed. That's Reality Smasher. I mean, I guess we're helping our opponent draw extra cards, but still, every single time. Opponent attacks. Well, let's cast Angel Song. Problem is we're still gonna die to Endbringers. They just ping us to death. There's nothing we can really do about it. Yeah, let's concede. We want Stony Silence, maybe? I don't know about negates against Eldrazi Tron. Maybe the Supreme Verdict? I guess ley line's actually kinda reasonable. We'll go down a couple ley lines. I guess the Swan Songs. And try it like that. Well, Stony Silence is good. Opponent gets lucky, literally. Starts with a luck counter on their Gemstone Caverns. Exiles a Ghost Quarter. Well, planes go. Hopefully this does not mean Chalice on one. That would be bad. Urza's Tower. Opponent passes. Well, Glacial Fortress and Stony Silence. Ship the turn. Opponent putting together Tron. There's a Matter Reshaper. Well, let's just Ghost Quarter. Stop on our opponent's upkeep. Ghost Quarter the tower. Another tower. We are good at picking the wrong piece. So good. Opponent gets in with Matter Reshaper. And there's the Thought-Knot Seer. Oh my god. Oh, no matter what we do, our opponent always just has the draw piece we kill. Every single time. Oh goodness. Yep. Takes our Gideon. Well, Forbidden Orchard, go. We also don't have any card draw. Does our opponent have Tron? No. They do have Reality Smasher, which means we're going to have to start fogging, which is pretty bad. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I guess we can wait one more turn. We can take the hit here, down to 5. Play Hallowed Fountain tapped, pass the turn. This is not working, though. Without drawing extra cards, we're going to lose eventually. Opponent goes attacking. Well, let's Dawn Charm. Take 0. Opponent passes. There's a Howling Mine. That helps. So play a Plains, play Howling Mine. Surgical Extraction on Dawn Charm. Alright, then get rid of Dawn Charm. Not great, but I don't think we can use the negate because I could have a Karn or something. We're also going to start exotic Forbidden Orcharding to give our opponent more creatures. They also know our hand. Expedition map. Now let's negate. Eldrazi Temple. Opponent goes to combat. Swings with everything. Well, come on, deck. Give us some good running. Opponent gets a token. We prevent the damage. Plains, not good. And fog. Land. Alright. Oh boy, that seems like a pretty rough matchup. Pretty rough. Alright, against the odds time, playing some Gideon Fog in Modern. Well, we're going to start with some ley lines on the battlefield. Boom, boom, boom. You're not targeting us this game, opponent. I think this is okay just because we have Howling Mine. If we didn't have Howling Mine, then I think we would not be able to keep this island for our opponent. And certain visions. We also have a Gideon. Well, Forbidden Orchard. Give our opponent a Spirit, play a Howling Mine, pass the turn. Fog number 1, achieved. There's a Glacial Fortress for our opponent, and passes. Alright, we can start drawing extra cards, another Gideon, and Temple Bell. That wasn't ideal. So let's pass the turn. Opponent, Watery Grave, gets in for 1, and passes. Oh, Gideon again. Oh, and Temple Bell, that's the same thing we drew last time. Oh, our deck hates us. Oh, Snapcaster Mage for more beatdowns. Oh dear. Opponent draws an extra card. Watery Grave. Untapped. Gets in. We have not drawn lands, period. I guess this was kind of an awkward keep. There's an island and a Gaia Reach Sanitarium. Well, let's play Gaia Reach Sanitarium. Pass the turn. Opponent has another Snapcaster Mage. Well, the question's going to be, are we going to be able to fog enough to fight through counters? Opponent gets in for 5. We're down to 11. Well, let's loot with Gaia Reach. Discard a Temple Bell. Opponent gets a Spirit. They discard an Esper Charm that isn't doing much. Play another Howling Mine and pass the turn. So next turn we're going to have to start the fogging. So opponent draws a bunch of extra cards. Hallowed Fountain tapped. Here's the attack. Well, let's just Angel Song. See if our opponent counters. I'm expecting they will. Yep, logic not. Well, now we can't get hit ever by anything. Opponent passes. Forbidden Orchard, Ghost Quarter, Ghost Quarter. Well, let's play Forbidden Orchard. Pass the turn. That's not exactly what we were hoping for. We will discard a Ghost Quarter. There's land for our opponent. And I kind of think we just lose here. So let's Angel Song. This isn't exactly the matchup we're hoping to play. Alright, so there's Logic Knot. Pollen Lullaby. Do you have another counter? Looks like the answer is another Snapcaster. Alright. Well, that was a bit of an awkward hand, and Hardcore Control is not our ideal matchup. So bring in Negates. Bring in Rest in Peace. And bring in Crucible of Worlds, I guess? Let's try it like that. Alright, we're on the play. This hand is not keepable, so we'll mulligan. This hand we need to scry into a land and resolve a Howling Mine. Crucible's gotta go to the bottom. Celestial Colonnade. Land, please, one time. Alright, Mystic Gate, so we get down a Howling Mine, which is good. Now, hopefully, we can defend it with our counters, draw more lands. Opponent gets the first draw. Another Colonnade. Opponent's got a discard. Dictate and Gideon. Aye. Yeah, missing land drops is not what we had in mind for our 2 draws there. Opponent draws. Plays a Swamp. Lingering Souls. Alright, we'll let that go for now. We do need to hit lands. Alright, there's lands. Multiple Forbidden Orchards. And I think this feels bad, but we're just going to run the Dictate out there. Pass the turn. It does give our opponent the first draw, which isn't good. But they're discarding the hand size anyway, and we don't really want to get it countered. Colonnades aren't that threatening, really. Certain Visions for our opponent. Gets in for 3. Yup. Has to discard. Well, play Forbidden Orchard. Our opponent definitely has a counter. Well, we gotta cast something here. We're gonna give our opponent 2 more tokens, which isn't good. And cast Leyline. Opponent runs out of Snapcaster. Well, we are gonna take a pretty big beating here. And we're gonna be back to the same position. We're gonna have to start fizzling every attack from our opponent. There's an island. Gets in with the crew. Down to 10. And passes. This also means we need to start drawing lands. There's a land. Alright. Land is good. Land is good. And another ley line. Well, we don't really need another ley line. So let's just Celestial Colonnade. Pass the turn. We did whiff on fogs there. Opponent. Secure the waste. Yup. We do not really care about that. I mean, we're basically to the point where we gotta stop every attack. I think we can discard that land for now. Hopefully with 3 draws next turn, we will hit at least one. Opponent, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need to Ethereal Haze. Is this Cryptic? Yep, alright, so let's Swan Song the Cryptic. Give our opponent another creature. And another token. Well, we have a chance. Our opponent has enough creatures that, I mean, if we whiff on a fog here, we're dead. Alright, there's a fog. Land and land. I don't think we can Gideon just yet, though. So, let's play Mikukuru and pass the turn. There's a land for our opponent. Goes on the big attack. Well, white and white prevent all combat damage with Dawn Charm. Opponent Spell Snares. Well, let's Swan Song the Spell Snare. If our opponent just has a whole handful of counters, we're pretty much done for. And I get a feeling that's what's happening. Well, let's negate the Logic Knot. Yep, looks like our opponent has another counter. And that'll be the game. Well, mono counter spell decks are definitely not among our better matchups. Another Logic Knot. Yep, alright. Alright, against the odds time, playing some bad Gideon Fog in Modern. And, oh, this hand. Alright, we'll try it. Well, let's start with the ley lines. We've been good at that. Plains go. See what our opponent's up to. There's a swamp. Well, hopefully they're playing like 8-rack. And then we have another ley line. Forbidden Orchard, go. Come on, another swamp. Yes! Oh, they're probably on 8-rack. Oh no, Nantucket Shade. Come on, land. Alright, Forbidden Orchard. Yes. Question is, do we start giving our opponent creatures? I'd rather have card draw first. Nether Trader. Alright, so we're taking a big hit. Come on, land. Or card draw. Ethereal Haze. Alright, pass the turn. Bad Moon to pump up the creatures. So we're taking 5, 6. Alright, what do we get? Land or card draw? There's a Dictate. Okay, this works. So pass the turn. We should be able to survive this turn and then go on the fogging plan. Another Bad Moon. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to drop to 2. I think that's okay, though. Our opponent shouldn't be able to finish us. Pumps it. Pumps it. Alright, so we're all the way down to 2. So down to 2. End of our opponent's turn. Give them some tokens. And flash in a Dictate. Alright, well, here we go. We can start drawing extra cards. I'll play the plains, pass the turn. Well, we need to keep drawing fogs. Having all 4 ley lines is not ideal. Another Nether Trader. If we get one more land, we can get down a Gideon. There's a big attack. So we Ethereal Haze, prevent all the damage. Opponent gets another Spirit. And I think we just want to keep giving our opponent tokens for our Gideon. So land is good here, fogs are good here. There's a land. Alright, I think we gotta wait one more turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can't ultimate Gideon in one shot. Alright, pass the turn. We're gonna fog and Dictate, and then we get 3 draws next turn. Opponent goes to combat. There's a big attack. So, add white and Ethereal Haze. Opponent gets a Spirit and Dictate. Alright, as long as we hit a fog here, any fog, there's a Dawn Charm. Alright, so we gotta wait another turn. Hollowed Fountain tapped, pass the turn. So we Dawn Charm here. Then next turn we can Gideon plus Dawn Charm in 6, 7, 8, 9. And we'll have enough creatures out that we can one-shot ultimate on Gideon. So opponent swings with everything. Add white, Dawn Charm, prevent all combat damage. Opponent gets more creatures. Plays a land. And passes. We draw Gideon, Mystic Gate, and Temple Bell. We'll play the land. Give our opponent a couple more spirits. Play Bad Gideon, Champion of Justice. Tick it up. How big are we going? 18 loyalty counters. Pass the turn. Hope our opponent doesn't have a way to kill Gideon. Like a Hero's Downfall or something. Opponent draws some extra cards. Goes to combat. Oh man, if we get dashed hopes, oh my goodness. Oh, that would be the worst loss of all time. Alright, there's the attack. So we will Dawn Charm. Opponent plays the land and passes. Well, let's see what we draw. Forbidden Orchard, Ethereal Haze, play a Temple Bell, Play a Forbidden Orchard. Let's draw with Temple Bell, see what we get. An island. Take up Gideon. 34 counters, pass the turn. Yes! I'm a little worried about exiling everything because our opponent, if they're not tapped out, they could potentially float mana and then kill us with like Guess Verdict or something. Maybe we should have a way to make Gideon unblockable. So there's the big attack. We will give our opponent a token and Ethereal Haze. Oh, yes. Opponent. Just tap out. If they tap out, then we can just exile everything and win. And Necrotal discarded. There's a Dictate, Angel Song, and Angel Song. How do we force through these last points of damage? Our opponent scoops it up. Sweet. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's exactly how we drew it up. Actually, let's just run it back. I don't know how our opponent's mono black deck deals with what we're doing, actually. Alright. This is fine. No card draw, but we get a Leyline. Leyline's gotta be important in this matchup based on our opponent's deck. Hallowed Fountain, tapped, pass the turn. Maybe we could have taken out the Swan Songs. There's the Shade. Opponent passes. Well, let's play Plains, pass the turn. Swamp for our opponent. Gets in with the Shade. Down to 18. Blood-Soaked Champion. And a Bad Moon. Well, our opponent's getting a lot of pressure. Well, let's play Forbidden Orchard and pass the turn. Opponent gonna get in a bunch of damage. They are putting us under a lot of pressure. Yeah. So we're gonna actually have to start fogging next turn. Let's flash in a Dictate. Give our opponent a Spirit. So Gaia Reach Sanitarium, Temple Bell, and pass the turn. Opponent draws an extra card. Goes to combat. Attacks. Alright. Let's fog. Number 1. Give our opponent a Spirit. We're getting pretty close to Gideon time. Maybe next turn, depending on what we draw. If we draw a 1-mana fog, draw with Temple Bell. There's an Angel Song. Plains and Dawn Charm. Well, I guess we gotta wait a turn, so play the Plains. Play another Temple Bell. Pass the turn. Next turn, we can get down Gideon. And we should be able to ultimate pretty quick. Opponent goes to combat. We will Angel Song. Give our opponent another Spirit. Take 0 damage. Well, draw with Temple Bell, draw with Temple Bell. Draw from Dictate. Well, let's play Ghost Quarter. Play our bad Gideon. Tick up our bad Gideon. Pass the turn. This has to be so miserable to play against. Oh, I'm sorry, little magic. Oh, and our opponent scoops it up. Well, bad Gideon Fog. Oh, worked perfectly in that game. That is exactly how we planned on winning. Against Odds Time, playing some bad Gideon Fog in Modern. Well, they're mulliganing to 6. Luckily for them, we're going to undo that mulligan pretty quick. Murmuring Bosk. Well, Ghost Quarter and Howling Mine. Best turn. Everyone gets cards. Opponent gets an extra card. Mulligan, undone. Razor Verge Thicket. Well, this looks like a creaturey matchup, which is pretty sweet. That is where we want to be. Play Forbidden Orchard. Give our opponent a Spirit. And let's just Temple Bell. Ship the turn. Opponent draws an extra card. Plays a Firelit Thicket. What is this? Is this a Doran deck? Alright, Kolaghan's Command. So we will discard our Dawn Charm for now. Kills our Howling Mine. Gets in for 3. Down to 17. Well, let's draw. There's a Gideon. I'll play Forbidden Orchard. Play a Howling Mine. Play another Howling Mine. Give our opponent some Spirits. And Pestered. So, opponent's drawing all the cards in the world. So are we, but opponent has 10 cards in hand. There's a Wooded Foothills. Cracks it. Gets a Stomping Grounds. And Wall of Roots. And Birds of Paradise. Alright, opponent gets in for 3. Let's draw a card. Ooh, Swan Song is good. Another Swan Song. Leyline and Dawn Charm. I think we actually got to draw right here to try to hit a land, please. Dictate. Well, I guess we got to pass. I think we got to start fogging. Chord of Calling X3. Well, let's Swan Song it. Opponent draws 2 extra cards. Plays a Township. Discard some random lands. There's a tap land, a ghost quarter, and an ethereal haze. This is some awkward mana ink. Well, let's play Celestial Colonnade. Pass the turn. Discard Leyline. Opponent draws a couple extra cards. There's a forest. What is happening? Court of Calling. Okay. Gets a Voice of Resurgence. That's fine. Opponent's gonna get even more creatures. That just pumps up our Gideon faster. Alright, Dawn Charm. The Voice of Resurgence actually plays right into our hands. Opponent's gonna be getting 12/12s, 15/15s, but it's actually good for us. Selfless Spirit, yup. Well, let's draw a card. So our opponent has to discard. We get a Mystic Gate, Glacial Fortress, Angel Song, and Angel Song. Well, let's play a Mystic Gate. Give our opponent a couple of creatures. And get our Gideon down. Oh, bad Gideon. Gonna be awesome right here. We will plus. Up to 20 loyalty counters. Pass the turn. Discard Dictate. Opponent gets some extra cards. Plays Wooded Foothills. Collective Brutality. Well, let's just do this right now. Blue-white. Ethereal Haze. Well, no, we might as well Swan Song. Oh, give our opponent all of the counters. All the creatures. Lightning Bolt. Okay. Gideon. Oh, Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt and a Gideon with 20 loyalty counters. It's got to be the most painful play you got to make. Oh my goodness. Oh, Restoration Angel. Yup. Blinks. Wall of Roots. Adds mana. Okay. Is there a way we die here? Is it possible? Another Wall of Roots. Is our opponent getting Kiki Jiki? Alright, they get Eternal Witness. Get back the Lightning Bolt. Is this another bolt? Is this another bolt at Gideon so it can't ultimate? Yup, that is what it is. Wow. Okay. Well, all that bought our opponent an extra turn. There's a big attack. It doesn't do anything. We draw an extra card. Get a land. Well, let's play Forbidden Orchard. Take up Gideon to 36 loyalty. Pass the turn. Discard a Ghost Quarter. Opponent draws a couple extra cards. Restoration Angel. Okay. Going to blink Eternal Witness. Get back Collective Brutality. Cast Collective Brutality. Okay. Takes our cheapest fog. And scoops it up. Well, we didn't get to exile everything, but we would have next turn. And we would have had a Gideon with 21 power left over. Oh my goodness. Okay, against this deck, I think we bring in the Crucible because the Ghost Quarter lock seems real in this matchup. And maybe go up one Timely too for a ley line and try it like that. Alright, this is fine. We got lots of fogs, no card draw though. Tap land for our opponent. We will match their tap land with the tap land of our own. Pass turn. Forest and Wall of Roots. More Gideons. Well, Ghost Quarter, go. Windswept Teeth cracks it. And Collective Brutality. Well, let's cycle Angel Song. Alright. Well, that's not great, but Dictate is something we want once we get the mana. Takes a fog and passes. We get a Swan Song. Well, let's play Ghost Quarter, pass the turn. Somewhat tempted to Ghost Quarter ourselves to get a Dictate down. Probably not wise, though. There's a land for our opponent. Eternal Witness to get back Collective Brutality. Yup. 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 And passes. Land? Oh, no. Alright, pass the turn. That was not ideal. Opponent gets in 4-2. Kataki? That's kind of annoying. Land? It's a Temple Bell. Well, let's play Temple Bell. Draw a card. We really need a land. Oh, no, deck. Oh, discard a Gideon. That was not good. Not good at all. Opponent fires off Collective Brutality. Takes a fog. Plays land. Plays a Reclamation Sage on our Temple Bell. Alright. Well, we take a beating. Come on, lands. Please, lands. Land, land. Alright, Forbidden Orchard is a land. We got it before we died. Things are looking up. Opponent cracks Windswept Heath. So now we can start playing dictates and hopefully drawing more lands and more fogs. Well, what's our opponent have? Slaughter Games. Well, let's play a dictate. In case that's what our opponent's about to name. Opponent gets a spirit. If they name Gideon, that's very bad. I don't know how we win if our opponent names Gideon. Is there any way we win if our opponent names Gideon? Huh. I guess we can Swan Song one of our own spells to get a bird? They name Gideon. Ghost Quarter Lock, I guess, is a possibility. We have one Celestial Colonnade. This also puts us down cards, so we'll mill out first. Time. We're way ahead in time, so maybe that's what's going to happen. Oh, we needed those. We needed those Gideons. Opponent gets in. Alright, come on. Let's find a way to win without Gideon. Mystic Gate, Mystic Gate. Well, play Mystic Gate. Pass the turn. Opponent draws. So I think we want Crucible. I think Crucible Ghost Quarter is our best way of winning now. Opponent tags with everything. We will take it. Drop to 1. There's a Fulminator Mage. Going to 1 might have been a mistake. Well, let's run a Dictate out there. Draw Angel Song, Forbidden Orchard, and Hallowed Fountain. Well, let's play Forbidden Orchard. Play a Temple Bell, and pass the turn. Opponent draws, and draws. Plays a land, cracks it. Yeah, this line is a bit risky. Lightning Bolts our face, and that be the game. I should have fogged earlier there. Well, with all this discard, we probably got to keep our ley lines. Maybe go down a couple of Swan Songs and try it like that. Alright, hand's not great, but we could start with a ley line, which is good. That stops a lot of our opponent's outs until they get rid of it. Temple Garden, untapped, down to 17. And Birds of Paradise. Well, play Mystic Gate, give our opponent, unfortunately, a Spirit. And Howling Mine. Pass turn. Opponent gets the first draw. Hopefully they can't just kill this Howling Mine. That would be pretty annoying. Sacred Foundry, untapped. Voice of Resurgence. That's not the end of the world. Opponent gets in for 1. Gideon and Ghost Quarter. Well, let's play a Plains and pass the turn. We got the combo. Windswept Heath for our opponent. Cracks it. Opponent taps, untaps, taps, taps. Ooh, Seizure, I know. Alright, well, we can't really do anything about that. Take our beats down to 16 from the Rhino. Good to be aware of. That's another way we get burnt out. Ghost Quarter and Glacial Fortress. Yikes. Well, play Forbidden Orchard, pass the turn. Yeah, let's just pass. We could draw into a 1-mana fog, which would make it much better. Opponent plays a land. Oh dear. I don't know if we have an answer for this. Well, we got a fog. Maybe we should have brought in more removal. Prevent all damage. Opponent gets a bunch more creatures. Our only realistic out is to draw a 1-mana... We gotta draw a 1-mana fog here. Opponent has Surgical Extraction for our Dawn Charm. So, Ethereal Haze. Ethereal Haze is the one card that could maybe win us this game. We take 0, because that would let us Gideon and maybe Ultimate Gideon. We get 2 draws, Angel Song and Gideon. Well, play Glacial Fortress, pass the turn. I think this is going to be too slow, especially with our opponent drawing extra cards. Oh, of all the ways to lose. Opponent makes a Siege Rhino. We drop to 7, goes to combat, swings with everything. We Angel Song. Opponent gets another Elemental. Oh dear. So we're down to 7, prevent the damage. Reclamation Sage, oh no. Hits our Howling Mine. Well, we gotta draw a fog off the top. Any fog. Leyline does not do it, and that be the game. Alright, against the odds time. Playing some Gideon, well, bad Gideon, fog in Modern. And this hand's okay-ish. Tap land for our opponent. Well, let's lead on Island past turn, just in case we got a Swan Song something on turn 2. Constant Fog seemed good against Infect. We are going to need white mana, though. Let's Ghost Quarter and Howling Mine. Past turn. Hopefully we don't die here. It seems less likely without... Well, you never know. We could just be dead. We could just be dead. Breeding Pool. Untapped. Really? Are we really dead on turn 3? Might of Old Kroza. Up to 5 power. Might of Old Kroza. My goodness, no. No, in fact, we have a handful of fogs. Oh my goodness. Well, oh, what can you do? That's modern for you. Hit by a banning and just as annoying as always. So Infect A, well, our deck seems like it's built to be Infect. Maybe we shouldn't have tapped out there. I felt like that was the right thing to do. We're on the play this time, which should help. Leyline of Sanctity, not very helpful. I think we're going to mulligan this. Well, I guess we can keep. We are going to need to find some mana on this scry. Alright, Forbidden Orchard is white mana. Now we just need card draw. I guess we got Maikukuru. So start with Leyline, play Maikukuru, pass turn. Sanctum for our opponent, well, Forbidden Orchard, go. Forest, and Blight Mamba, okay. Ghost Quarter, and pass turn. It's a little risky to let our opponent draw cards, but we might have to. Island for our opponent. There's Might of Old Krosa, sure. Opponent goes attacking. We'll take 5, in fact. Give our opponent a token, draw a card. Well, each player draw a card. Now there's a Plains. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was some bad sideboarding. Definitely should have taken out Leylines. Another Blight Mamba. And a Rancor. Well, we're up to 8, in fact. Maybe we should keep giving our opponent tokens. Each player draws a card. Well, there's a Howling Mine. That's good. So, give our opponent a token, play Howling Mine, and pass the turn. We are in a position where we do need to fog every single turn. Slip Through Space draws our opponent a card. Another Slip Through Space. Well, while our opponent's tapped out, let's just cast Angel Song. Tapped out a blue mana. Opponent draws another card. Yup. Opponent probably did not read the Angel Song. We draw another Howling Mine and a Temple Bell. Well, let's just play a Howling Mine, play a Ghost Quarter, and pass the turn. We're going to stop on our opponent's upkeep and cast Ethereal Haze. Do that before our opponent gets a chance to draw into counters. Draws a couple extra cards, plays a Cathedral of War. There's a Bladed Agent. Opponent keeps attacking, hoping for the Moto bug. Moto holds its weight, does not bug. Alright, let's each draw a card with my Kukuru, Hallowed Fountain. 1, 2, 3. Play a Temple Bell. Play a Forbidden Orchard. And pass the turn. On our opponent's upkeep, we cast a Pollen Lullaby. Alright, Gideon to the bottom. We just got to make sure we hit fogs. Goes to combat. Are they going to attack? Alright, opponent is learning. Alright, let's draw with Temple Bell. Fog? We're getting pretty close to Gideon. Dictate is not a fog. There's Ethereal Haze, Ghost Quarter, and a Swan Song. Well, Hallowed Fountain, untapped. Give our opponent some more spirits. Play Gideon. Take up Gideon. All the way to 15. And pass the turn. So we'll just do the same thing. Stop on our opponent's upkeep. Cast our Ethereal Haze. With double Swan Song back up. Okay. Apostle's Blessing. Oh, pro white. Does not matter. Not targeting. Opponent gets to draw a couple extra cards. I think we got it now. So we could ultimate Gideon this turn, but we would lose our Gideon. Wild Defiance. Fair enough. Opponent gives it a shot. Hey, might as well. You never know. Maybe pro white will... Whoa, going with everything. Are they going to mutagenic growth? They do. I've never seen anyone cast more bump spells into a fog before. Well, let's each draw a card with Maikukuru. Draw with Temple Garden. There's Ethereal Haze. Draw a couple extra cards. Temple Bell and Temple Bell. I'll play Mystic Gate. Tick up Gideon one more time. Actually, let's do this first. Give our opponent some more creatures. Maximize our Gideon. Play a Temple Bell. Tick up Gideon to 28. Pretty good. Pass the turn. We will discard this Leyline. Isn't doing much. And then Ethereal Haze. And that should do it. Unless they can deal with our Gideon, we are just going to exile everything and then attack with the world's biggest Gideon. And our opponent scoops it up. Oh, we never get to see it. People, whenever we get a Gideon with like 30 counters, they scoop. What's going on in this world? Yeah, so Leyline of Sanctity is very bad. So we will bring in Negates and maybe Supreme Verdict, I guess, and just run it back like that. Okay. If we live a couple turns, this is pretty good. So our opponent plays an island. Now let's Hallowed Fountain. Tapped. Pestered. Breeding Pool for our opponent. Untapped. And Blighted Agent. Another Blighted. And a Glistener Elf. Alright, opponent gets in 4-1 with Blighted Agent. Mutagenic Growth. Well, let's just negate that. Take 1. I think we just Celestial Colonnade past the turn. Next turn we can Temple Bell plus Swan Song, and that might be enough to keep us alive. Alright, Ichor Claw Mirror, and our opponent's out of cards. Oh, well, we definitely are going to survive. I think we're just going to Dawn Charm here. And this makes sure we get down our Temple Bell. We draw planes, play the planes, play Temple Bell, pass the turn. Alright, now things will hopefully snowball for us. Opponent plays a Pendelhaven, so we're going to take a big hit. 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6 poison. Yup. And then we will draw a card. It's a Gideon and a Ghost Quarter. I'll play Ghost Quarter, play a Temple Bell, stop on our opponent's upkeep. Hopefully they did not draw exactly a counter off of that Temple Bell. Cast our Dawn Charm. Alright. Whew, no counter. Now we are hopefully good. We're taking 0 here. We get a bunch of draws to keep finding what we need. We do have to fog every turn. Attacks with everything. Well, let's draw a card. Alright, there's a fog. Ethereal Haze, Angel Song. Oh, that's very good. I'll play Ghost Quarter, play Gideon, pump up Gideon, pass the turn. Upkeep, we will Ethereal Haze with Swan Song back up. Alright, resolves. Whew! We're good. I think we're good. And we got the Gideon down. We got a handful of fogs. We got a counter. Whew! Well, fogs are good against Infect, apparently. Unfortunately, I'm sure our opponent's going to scoop before we get to Ultimate Gideon, because that's been the trend. Land, Angel Song. So play Mikukuru. Take up Gideon to 14. Pass the turn. Upkeep, we will cast an Angel Song. Opponent passes. Poor opponent. Alright, 1-2. Let's draw with Mikukuru. Draw with Temple Bell. Draw with... Wow, we got all the fogs this time. Another Angel Song. Opponent's got to discard 3 to hand size. Alright, pump up Gideon. Play a Plains. Pass the turn. And we'll let our opponent draw here. We're actually fine with our opponent attacking and then trying to Pollen Lullaby for the double fog. Might of Old Crosa. Why not? I mean, we're dead anyway. If our opponent hits us, we're dead. Come on, attack with everything. Uh-oh. Still going? They want us to be, like, doubly dead to Infect. Alright, 1-2. Pollen Lullaby. We do not win the flip. Forbidden Orchard to the bottom. So we take 0. Draw with Mikukuru. I guess we could hit Supreme Verdict and win that way. Dictate. Well, cast a Dictate. Looks like Bad Gideon is going to be pretty sweet here. Opponent has to discard. Another Gideon. We draw a Howling Mine. Well, let's just go Gideon Beatdown. Attack with a 1919 Gideon. Oh, yes. So this is just like the Abyss now. Might of Old Crosa on the Glistener Elf. Okay. And Vines on the Glistener Elf. Opponent blocks. And we will just play a Howling Mine. Discard a Gideon. Upkeep, we will Angel Song again. Opponent draws some extra cards. Oh, there's a Blight Mamba. Opponent passes. Let's Dictate. Draw a card. Draw a card. Draw a bunch of cards. Play Mystic Gate. Take up Gideon. I think we just need to get Gideon big enough now that it actually just wins the game. I guess we can play a Temple Bell. Because we know he's not used Temple Bell. Discard Howling Mine. Discard a negate. Let's Angel Song. So right now Gideon would be 9 power. I think we gotta wait one more turn. Wild Defiance for our opponent. And passes. Oh, bad Gideon Fog. So draw a card, draw a card, draw a card. We'll let our opponent discard a bunch of cards. We draw a bunch more cards. There's Forbidden Orchard. That's good. Gets our Gideon a little bit more power. So play Forbidden Orchard. Tap it. Give our opponent a creature. Take up Gideon. Pass the turn. Howling Mine, Dictate, Mystic Gate, Swan Song, and Swan Song discarded. And then we will just cast and Angel Song. So next turn we should be able to finish this. Well, not finish it, but we're going we're going to exile everything with Gideon and have a 15-15 Gideon for the next turn. And have a land so we can leave up our fogs. That's pretty much how we drew it up. Oh, come on. No scooping. No scooping. You want to see it? Plays a land. Discard some cards. We're going to stop drawing for now. All right. Draw a bunch of extra cards. Ethereal Haze. Dictate. All right. So 1, 2. Tap for blue. Ultimate Gideon. Exile all other permanents. Play a Hallowed Fountain. Untapped. And pass the turn. And now we have a 15-15 Gideon next turn. We'll discard a Ghost Quarter and a Swan Song. And I'm feeling good about this. Does our opponent have an out for this? Plays a tap land. Ooh, we got there. All right. Fire up Gideon. 15-15. Attack with Gideon. And that is the game. Opponent Mutagenic Growths are Gideon. Thank you very much, opponent. Oh, just how we drew it up. That is exactly how we had it planned. Ooh, sweet. So, what do we learn this week about bad Gideon Fog? And things went about like we expected. So overall, we won 5 out of 12 games, which puts us at like 41%, 41.66666666%. And as far as matches, 2 out of 5 we ended up winning, so about 40%. And really, I mean, it worked as expected, and it just really depends on the matchups. Like, that's 100% what it comes down to. Against Tron, we're going to have a hard time. Even with our 4 Ghost Quarters, we're going to have a hard time. We're drawing them into more action. We don't really have good ways of dealing with their Planeswalkers or Ulamogs. We saw a similar issue with Control. Like, even though they were winning with creatures, we would just draw them so many cards that they would hold a bunch of counters and then force through a big attack, a lethal attack, even through multiple fogs and multiple counter spells on our side. On the other hand, in creature-based matchups, we actually perform really well because they have a hard time beating our fogs, and I think that the idea of giving our opponent creatures with Forbidden Orchard, with Swan Song, actually worked pretty well. Like, that helps in matchups where we can stay alive thanks to maybe Leyline of Sanctity. Think about like combo matchups where we're playing against, let's say, a Valakut deck with some amount of creatures, but not too many, but a deck that also is going to struggle with Leyline of Sanctity. Like, they're not going to have a good answer to that, at least pre-board. So in those type of matchups, we would have a really hard time making Gideon good. However, if we can give our opponent creatures every turn with Forbidden Orchard, with Swan Song, maybe countering Escape Shift or something. In those scenarios, we can make our Gideon good in matchups where it even isn't good. So I think to really maximize the Gideon, the plan of giving our opponents creatures worked really well. The problem is, if the plan is to really maximize Gideon and give our opponent creatures, there's not that many good options available. There's a really limited number of options. Basically, I looked at a deck that had some of the hunted creatures, like Hunted Phantasm. When it enters the battlefield, you give your opponent 5/1/1 goblins, and then you get a 4/6 unblockable for your trouble, so it seems like a reasonable option. The problem is there's just no way of doing it without fogs. My initial build of this deck was not with fogs. I was trying to avoid building the fog deck. However, I just couldn't find another good way of doing it because the other options for keeping creatures from attacking, like Ghostly Prison, things along those lines, they all keep those creatures from attacking you, which means they can still attack our Gideon. So what would happen is we would give our opponent a bunch of creatures. Those creatures wouldn't be able to attack us, which was great, but then we would play our Gideon, and when we played our Gideon, our opponent would have a huge board full of creatures, and even if we pumped up our Gideon, our opponent would just immediately send everything at Gideon because Ghostly Prison and Sphere of Safety and that kind of stuff wouldn't actually save us because they're not attacking us, they're attacking Gideon. So there wasn't a good card other than the fogs that could keep us alive while we were giving our opponent creatures and keep our Gideon alive. So I really think this is the only realistic way of kind of maximizing Gideon, and we did a good job of maximizing Gideon. Unfortunately, our opponents would often scoop once we got to Gideon to like 30 or 40 counters, which is pretty threatening. One thing I noticed as we were playing is I almost wish that we had put in something to make Gideon unblockable, because there were some scenarios, the mono black matchup was a good example, where we had Gideon with a ton of counters, but we were afraid to attack because we knew they had like edict effects. We were also afraid to exile everything because that would get rid of our ley lines and turn on their edict effects and all that kind of stuff. So we were in this weird situation where our deck was doing exactly what we wanted to do, but we weren't actually guaranteed to be able to win. We were kind of hoping our opponent would tap out. In those scenarios, having something to make Gideon unblockable and just one big attack with like a 40-40 Gideon could really change the entire matchup. So that's one thing I would think of adding. We could do it with a land. The problem is we already have a lot of colorless lands, and we did have some draws where we were like Ghost Quarter, Mikukuru in our opening hand, and that's kind of awkward. But that's one thing I would look at maybe adding if I was going to do this all over again. Something to help the attacking Gideon plan. Because going into it, I figured, well, our plan is we're going to pump Gideon up a ton. We're going to exile everything. And then we're going to have a Gideon left over to close out the game. And while that does work, if our opponent just leaves mana up, it's super risky. Because they're going to have a handful of their best cards from all of our card draw effects. Our Howling Mines, our Temple Bells, our Dictative Crew Fixes, and they either can have something to deal with Gideon or something to just kill us on the spot. Like, it's completely possible that we'd be at like 10 life, but because our opponent drew so many cards, they would have 4 lightning bolts or something ridiculous like that because we're letting them draw so many cards, and even if they're discarding the hand size, they're discarding their worst cards. So that's one thing I would look at adding, because it was a little more challenging than I thought to just exile everything with Gideon. Even when we got to the point of exiling everything with Gideon, sometimes it felt like we just couldn't safely do that. So that could be one thing to work on. But overall, I think this deck is the best way to maximize bad Gideon, Champion of Justice, and I think it did a good job of that. And, I mean, our record was reasonable, matchup dependent, but reasonable for an Against the Odds deck. So, anyway, that's been our Against the Odds for this week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.